Well, hello, loves, and happy Sunday to you. Oh, the journey we go on today. When I started this piece, I had no idea what I was going to do except for my quote, my poem. And I can't wait to share all of that with you. But let's take a look down here and we'll talk about the supplies. So here is our magical piece. Can you see the gold? Can you see the layers? Oh, it's so good. It's so good, and it was so much fun. So this is what we're creating today. Let me set this aside. And then, okay. Oh wait, you know what? I need that back. I'm so excited. Let's talk just a little bit through it. So papers in the background are random bits that I went through my stash and I just started pulling bits that kind of inspired me. I wanted to have something kind of darker up here and something lighter up here to kind of go with the quote and the meaning and what I was feeling behind all of it. I wanted this to kind of look like the earth, ground, something like that. But I didn't want it to be typical, so I've got a little bit of everything in here. I mean, honestly, a little bit of everything, and you'll see it all. Neutral papers back here. And then I put all the papers down first, and then I just started doing color washes over the top of it. And I didn't do a lot of things that I typically do. I did spray paint my vines and then press them onto tissue paper and then put them down. But I even put those in the background and kind of pushed everything back and brought this out so that it looked like it glowed, like it was magical almost. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? It really, honestly, technique-wise was super simple, but each step kind of informed me where I was going, because all I knew was I wanted kind of earth and kind of this light sky-ish ethereal kind of thing, and that's all I really knew. And then it just kind of developed as I went, and I love it when that happens, because you're so in the moment that you're just, every next step tells you where you go, and I love that, positively love it. Okay, so, and then I added just some washes, and then I added some layers of palette knife, just kind of little bits of palette knife work with some chunky paint. Added my gold, whitewash, charcoal pencil. It's really, really simple. I don't know how else to explain that. But I'm going to set this aside now and just go over the supplies. So the stencils I used were the arches, round for my arch. I used my journal writing for this area here. I used the vines for the vines over the archway. So those are the stencils, and those will all be on sale this week. I used black spray paint to spray my vines and my journal writing stencil with. I used fluid matte medium and matte gel. Where is my matte gel? Right here. Fluid matte medium and matte gel. And the reason is fluid matte medium always for my tissue paper. Always, always. And I did use it for the lighter papers, but I had some really heavy papers that had a lot of texture, so I needed matte gel to really grab on and hold those down. I used raw umber, quinacridone magenta. Oops, this raw umber. Olive green, burnt sienna. I'm looking at my palette. Prussian blue. My first layers were raw umber, Prussian blue, and olive green. And then I mixed in the other colors of magenta, the bright aqua green, and the burnt sienna. And then I added the gold. This is Sargent's Liquid Metal, one of my favorite golds. I did use my gesso as my white. I used my carbon black acrylic ink and my bamboo. I don't know why I can never remember the name of this calligraphy dip pen. I don't know what you call it. I don't know what it is. But I did that for my words. And I'll explain. I was going to print them out, and I decided not to because of the meaning of everything. So I used a Stabilo all pencil because to get around here, I wanted it to be super light because I wanted this to really shine. And yet I needed some kind of depth and definition around that. And then palette knife, General's charcoal pencil, a couple of variety sizes of brushes. I used a medium filbert, a fine line brush, and then my flat brushes and my medium, my brush that I use for like all my mediums and stuff like that. And that's really it. Oh, super heavy gesso for my arch. The reason I used super heavy gesso is because it's got a nice ground to it. It gives me just about the same texture as a texture paste. That's really it. Soft pastel for around the edge. Tissue paper to print these on, to like stamp them on after I spray painted them. That is it. Not a lot of supplies and not difficult techniques either. Just kind of going with the flow and going with the layers. And I love it. All right, loves. Those are supplies. Those are the supplies for our project. So let's get creating. All right, my loves, that is our project for this Sunday. She's magical. She's just magical, and I love her, love her. So let's take a look at the piece, and I'll kind of walk you through my thought process a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So, like I said in the beginning, I didn't really know where I was going to take this, but I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted to paint and what I was inspired by. So I have a new book for you guys. I highly recommend it. Oh my gosh. Not only for the beautiful art, but Morgan Harper Nichols. If you guys are not familiar with her, she's on Instagram. I positively love her. I have another book from her. I actually have another book coming, but I have one that I've been reading for a while. It's she's an Enneagram 5, which I am too, and she does a daily devotion. And it is the prayers in the, oh my gosh, it's just, anyway. I cannot say enough about her work and her words. They are completely inspirational. And I have only gotten to this point with the book because every time I read something, I have to just stop and take it in. And so I read this quote, and then I painted this. So she writes, "Even though you have learned the skill of running on empty, now is the time to learn the art of breathing deep all over again. Letting no one," I want you to hear this last line, "letting no one make you feel that you cannot show up with the truth of where you are." With the truth of where you are. We have learned to run on empty and put on a happy face and not show the truth of where we are. At least I have. And that's part of this year of softness for me. If you haven't watched my Word for the Year journal last week, you can watch that and you'll understand my softness reference. So when I thought about showing up with my truth, like showing up in life with who I am, mask off, just as I am, what that looks like is rest. And she says, learning the art of breathing deep and being okay with just this flawed individual. And so that's all the parts in here are that. This down here are all my underneath parts that I don't show. There's some really dark places in there. And there's some really sparkly places in there. And there's these, I've got these cross hatches here. Some places have been stitched back together over and over and over again. This is what I keep hidden. And we don't want to reveal all of our things all of the time. But showing up where we are and being vulnerable with where we are is so incredibly powerful to ourselves and to others. And then and it's kind of dark down here because, well, those are the shadow parts that I don't show everybody. And then coming up here, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and there's this vine that's growth. I'm learning. I'm learning to breathe deep. I'm learning to show up tired or show up just as I am. I'm learning to be all of those things and not feel like I have to have it all together. And super hard for me, constantly learning that. So this is that vine of learning. And this bright light, this is my truth. This is where I show up. And when I show up like that, when I show up in my truth, amazing things happen. Whether it be for myself or for others. Amazing things happen to me because I realize I am human and I can rest and I can not do it perfect. And part of my mantra is it'll do right now, because I can be such a perfectionist that I can make myself crazy. And so that's this bright light. This is my truth in here. And these butterflies here, that transformation really represents that, and they're peeking through in here. And I wanted that to be gold. I wanted it to be spectacular. I wanted it to kind of match how I was feeling about, like, I mean, this is not new truth, but, you know, every now and again when we read something, it's like it's brand new to us. So that's this here. All the layers, finding my way, growing, and showing up with my truth. That is our Sunday piece. So, loves, I just was so moved by her words, even though you have learned the skill of running on empty. I don't know about you, but I've been running on empty for quite a while. Now is the time to learn the art of breathing deep. To do it all over and over and over again. Breathe deep. Breathe deep. And then letting no one make you feel that you cannot show up with your truth. Right where you are. Your truth. Where you are at. You show up and you're like, I'm not doing so great. I can't put a smile on my face. Or, man, I'm feeling fantastic. And you're allowed to feel that fantastic light. You're allowed to be bright. You're allowed to be bold. You're allowed to be meek. You're allowed to be quiet. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to care for yourself. You're allowed to show up right now where you are with your truth. And it's okay. And no one has the permission to tell you otherwise. And it was just like, I love it when I read a quote. And, you know, I've read them before or whatever. I haven't read many of Morgan's, but, man, it's like brand new. And it's those words just in that moment that you need to hear. And so last week I shared that softness is a hard word for me because sometimes it means weakness to me. And I know that's not true, but I am allowed to show up soft. And that doesn't mean that I'm weak or that I don't set boundaries or that I don't make sure things are done or, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just that I allow myself grace. And so I hope today that you realize or are reminded that you are allowed to show up just as you are, in your truth. Shiny and bright and sparkly or bruised and weary. Our vulnerability in all of those situations, where they're good or in between or not so good, they all give us permission to be that, to be bright and shiny, and to be bold and to do our thing. And it also gives us permission to rest, and cry, and, you know, be angry. And, you know, it gives us permission when we're vulnerable with each other and with ourselves. So I hope that you know your truth, where you are right now, is just where you need to be, and it's perfectly okay to show up that way. All right, my loves, if I'm going to leave a link for this book, it is amazing. All of Morgan's stuff is always so good. So I'll leave a link for that if you guys, you know, want to check it out. I recommend it highly. Anyway, live your truth, my loves. I hope your Sunday is restful. I hope it's peaceful, and I hope your truth is that you're living your truth. Yes, yes, yes. And I hope that you always know that you are loved.